Oh, got him. There we go. Man, he hit that super hard. Felt like a trout, how hard he hit it. Yep, sure is. Look at that, guys. Pretty trout right here. Hey, what's going on, Salt Strong Nation? Welcome back to another video. And today we're going to be going over a question I get a lot, and that is going to be, what is the difference between a slip float and a popping cork? So we're going to be going over the function of both of these, also how to use them and what type of areas to use them as well. So let's go ahead and get into it. Okay guys, so most of you have either seen or at least used a popping cork before. It's a very, very common thing, and they work great and they're phenomenal to use, especially in areas where, you know, there's murky water or you've got a lot of bait fish and you need to get your bait or lure standing out. So one of the things that I really like about a popping cork is, well, one, you can do that. You can really get the attention of the fish. However, there are some limitations. So one of the biggest limitations, especially in areas that I fish, a lot of times is how deep you can fish in the water column. So that is one thing that is definitely not as good about the popping cork compared to the slip float, which we'll get into in a second. Now, the popping cork is great for areas, especially like flooded flats or areas that have flooded structure where you only may need about 2 or 3 feet of leader to effectively fish those areas. Now, if you're fishing in an area that's, 4 feet, 5 feet, or a little bit deeper and you got some suspended fish, that's when I would actually go and switch to this right here, which is going to be the slip float. Now, the slip float is a great tool. I've done some videos on it before, but this is what you want to use when you're fishing for suspended fish, or if you're fishing in really deep holes, say in creek bends or around deep water docks where you might have to actually get your bait down up to 8-10 feet at sometimes. This rig is what that's for. And it doesn't really matter that you don't have clicks and clacks and all that on it like the popping cork, because a lot of times you're fishing deeper. So it's not really going to be beneficial to have that way far up in the water column because your bait may be 8 or 10 feet down away from your cork. Okay, now when it comes back to some advantages of the popping cork, one of the things is you can cast this thing a country mile. You can throw it really far, and typically you're not going to get a lot of hang-ups or anything like that, especially on windy days. Actually, windy days are some of my favorite times to use one of these because they're super buoyant, and a lot of times they don't have, a whole lot of weight on the bottom of them, so they can really move your lure or your live bait as well up and down in the water with the waves. So it's a really good setup for windy, kind of rough days, and you've got all of these clackers and all this noise to go in front of you as well to really get distinguished. Now, something where the slip float might be a little bit of a disadvantage are going to be on days like that, because a lot of times these can get tangled up fairly easy, especially if you have a newer angler that hasn't thrown these a lot. It's very easy to do what's called helicoptering, and basically that's where your bait and lure all get wrapped around each other while it's in flight going towards your target area. So this rig is definitely a little bit easier to do that with, but one of the things that you can do to really help mitigate that is how you cast it, for one, which I can do a video on that later. You guys let me know in the comments, but also making sure that you've got the right type of rod. If you have too short or too stiff of a rod, a lot of times that's going to cause that system right here to just basically turn and do what's called that helicoptering effect. So getting a rod that's got a little bit longer, like a 7/6, and a little bit more of a moderate fast action that's got a little bit more give, that's going to help where that helicoptering action doesn't happen, and you're actually going to have your bait just kind of cast and throw out, and it's not going to be spinning in the air as much. So that's one quick tip. Just make sure that you've got the right rod for whatever system you're throwing, and you should be a lot better off. A really good option for rods that I use on pretty much all of my either slip float or popping cork setups is going to be just a TFO medium or a medium heavy, depending if you've got a really heavy popping cork or you're throwing a very heavy lead line, because you're going to be trying to fish really deep with your slip float, like over 10 feet like I do sometimes. That medium heavy might be a little bit better. But the good thing is it's got that kind of moderate fast tip, and it really minimizes those helicoptering kind of effects in midair. So definitely check those out. We've got them at our shop at fishstrong.com if you're interested. But other than that, guys, if there's anything that you like to do with slip floats, or you like a certain brand, or even with the popping corks, definitely leave them in the comments below and I'll be happy to get back with you on it. If you want to see more tips that are just like this, especially ones that are in your type of area that you fish, definitely check us out at saltstrong.com, where we go over stuff like this all the time, and we have tons of members that you can go and talk to as well, and even sometimes link up and fish with. So anyway, definitely let me know if you guys have any questions in the comments.
If you're new to Salt Strong, just know we're the #1 online fishing club out there because we actually guarantee we're going to help you catch more fish, not only with tips and in-depth courses, but also our new Smart Fishing Spots app that actually tells you exactly where the fish will be feeding, as well as the best times of day to fish there. You'll also save tons of money with tackle discounts and make tons of new fishing friends in the Insider community. So thanks again for watching, and we hope to see you in the Insider community soon.